Oh, and Daniel,
Perfect.
OMG, man.
All right, everybody. Welcome to
Gee,
our little Zoom call here for those who are interested in the 2026 Way of Champions retreat and certification program. My name is John O'Sullivan. A lot of you have been greeted by Jerry Lynch there, Dr. Lynch, and so excited to have you all on here. Sort of the plan of action for today is to answer, kind of give you a little overview of what the event's all about. Then show you a little video that we compiled from last year's event, tell you we have a couple of participants who came last year as well, who we've talked to ahead of time about just discussing with you their experience and how they've used this. And then just kind of tell you about the venue and how the thing works. And then I'm going to send you all the link, just open, to open the cart and get the signups going on this. But I think I'm going to turn it over to Jerry first to just talk a little bit about the why behind this and the story behind Way of Champions. So, Jerry, why don't you take it away?
thank you, John. And I'd be more than happy to do that. It's an interesting beginning. I've been at work for over 45 years, but Way of Champions came about 35 years ago when I started working with teams. And I had never worked with teams before, not one. I had individual clients and I spoke in front of groups and at the Olympic Training Center and these other nice venues, but I never worked with a team. The very first team I worked with, the very first year, we won a national championship. Oh my, I was hooked. All right, so this sounds like a crazy story, and it is in a way. The following 15 years, we wound up winning a total of 11 national championships. Okay, the second team I work with, the very first year, we win a national championship. The next 6 years, to make it seven in a row, we won seven consecutive national championships. You might not believe me, but this is a true story. And I'm always in awe of this. My first pro team that I ever worked with was men's lacrosse. We won a world championship. My very first professional basketball team I ever had connection with and a consultancy with, Steve Kerr with the Warriors. We won a world championship. After all this stuff, my wife Jan says to me, she says, Jerry, you know the way of the champion. And I thought, do I really? And I said, what a name for a book. That's the way I was thinking. This is a great book name, good title. So what I did was I wound up writing a book within the next year called The Way of the Champion. And I took everything I learned from all of those championships that were thrown at me. And by the way, I learned much more than I taught them for sure. And I threw all of that together in a book, and I discussed in that book what the way of the champion is and how to implement it. And that's always big on the part of Way of Champions. We always want to implement what we're talking about. This is not just a nice talking conversation. So what I did then, I came up with a logo, which I don't need to explain to you now, but at some point maybe we will. And I made it my brand. Well, the business took off. It just went berserk. Everyone was talking. What's in Maryland Lacrosse's tea? What are they drinking here? What's going on there? And I noticed that there was a big demand. Many wanted it. They were craving it actually, and I needed a partner. I needed help with this. This is early on, and people would come by and say, "Yeah, I want to do this. Can I work with you? Can we?" And I would talk to them and ask them their reason, like, "Why do you want to do this?" And they never seemed to have the reason that that blended with the whole philosophy and the whole mission of what Way of Champions is all about. It wasn't about winning those championships. It was about the message that was much deeper. It was about connecting and caring, empowering, and love of each other, love in a sense of coming together as a family and working for each other for something bigger than any one of us. So eventually, I had more work than I needed, and John came my way. And I saw the work John was doing, and I reached out to John, not to be part of Way of Champions, but just to tell John, I've noticed the work you're doing with the youngsters out there, and I'm really, really happy to have you out there, because you're carrying basically the message that I'm doing with pro teams and collegiate teams. At that point, I hadn't yet worked with a high school team. Now it's like they're all over the place in my work. So anyway, so John joined me, as I recall, and that's another whole story in itself, which is a lovely story that John likes to tell at some point. And we started this work together, and oh my God, it kept taking off. It went so well that I thought to myself, well, if I could train John and he could do the work he's doing so well and get all these teams performing at high levels, then maybe I can do that with more people. It doesn't have to be a John or a Jerry. And get people who are aligned with the mission, aligned with the philosophy of what we teach and how we go about teaching it, and how we, in order to teach, we have to reach, and how to reach people through communication and through other strategies and what have you. So anyway, I want to read you what it means to be a champion. And this will put it in perspective for you. So let me read what I wrote in my next book. My book number 20, I'm proud to say, and I'm not going to stop there because I don't like even numbers. So I think John and I will come up with the 21st book. I will. And this book is called Unlocking the Champion's Soul. And by the way, 5 of those 20 books have the word champion in the title, 2 of which John and I wrote together. So the word champion is very, very special to me. While most people sit back and see it as a medal going around your neck or hoisting a trophy over your head, we don't see it that way. Although, as I had said in the beginning of my presentation with you, it's amazing how many championship teams have evolved. In fact, that number is now over 130. Over 130 championship teams using intimately the message of Way of Champions. That's pretty exciting stuff. And I'd like to see you be part of that if you have the right reasons to go forward. And I'll let Chris and others, Kate, talk about that, and you want to hear their voices, not mine. So let me read you what I wrote in the foreword to this new book that comes out in November, Unlocking the Champion's Soul. You can already hear in my voice and in the words that I use that there's a spirituality to the work that we're doing. Even though I'm trained as a psychologist, I'm long past psychology. Psychology is good and it really helps, but there's something deeper that psychology doesn't approach, and that is the spirituality of sport. So here it is. Here's the champions. First and foremost, a champion is not something one becomes. You never become a champion. You never will, ever. And I tell that to people. Now that they're shocked, I say, you know what? It's something that you are either presently being by demonstrating the qualities and traits of a champion now, or it is something you'll never become. It is a daily commitment to practicing the habits and ways of a champion. The quote-unquote champion way is, in the words of scholar Joseph Campbell, a hero's journey. It's an up and down, gain and loss, self-discovery as you dedicate yourself to exploring the unlimited boundaries of your full human potential. Michael Murphy, in his wonderful classic book, Golf in the Kingdom, who happens to be a friend of mine, talks about champions. He alludes to those on this odyssey as being astronauts of inner space. What a statement. I wish that were mine, but I always give him credit for that. Astronauts of inner space. Being a champion is an inner job. It's one that has passion, purpose, meaning, love, and heart. Winning externally on the scoreboard is only a byproduct of these victories within. So when I went into these teams, it was all about that spirituality of sport, courage and passion and commitment and connection and all of that. And the essential inspirational thoughts that we work with guide others, athletes and coaches, to such a situation where there's less self-doubt, an increase in the likelihood of scoreboard victory, higher confidence, less frustration. It's important to know that being a champion doesn't always equate to having a medal around your neck or hosting the trophy. Winning on the scoreboard is the byproduct. I say this repeatedly. And it means possessing specific traits of a champion: courage, tenacity, persistence, fearlessness. We teach these qualities. We teach people how to be courageous. We teach people how to be fearless. Imagine a coach hearing that. Well, they're going to want that. Raise your hand if you don't want to have athletes that you work with being fearless. So this is what we do. We're very implemental. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause. I'll come back. I'll talk to you when it's appropriate for the moment. And I'm going to turn it over to John right now, and we'll get going with our program.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. And again, thank you everyone for being on. So sort of, I think the next step. So last year when we did this, we had no idea if anyone would be interested. We had actually never been to this venue that we had secured to do it in. And we were just like, I hope. And, there was so much interest right out of the gate. It was amazing. 2 days later, we're like, okay, I guess we're sold out. And so it was really cool. So we took a bunch of pictures this year, put it to some music. So I just want to show you like a little bit of the slideshow that we sent to this year's participants, mostly so you can get an idea, not just of the connection, but a little bit of what the facility's like. And then I'm going to bring in Dr. Kate Bennett and Chris Snyder to kind of talk about their experience as well. So let me just share my screen and get a little video going. It's about, I think it's about 8 minutes or so. And then, just get an idea of kind of everything we did there. It's pretty cool. Um, while that video was playing, I was actually scrolling through at last year's participants, and Chris George, I'm looking at you. Um,
Yeah,
you're just smiling,
yeah,
reliving it. So yeah, super cool. So there's just like a little bit of the idea of kind of what it was like last year. And I want to bring in just to start two of last year's participants. Kate Bennett, can you unmute and get ready to jump on here? Kate is a sports psychologist in Colorado, and we had. I mean, I'm looking at the pictures there and thinking of all the people from Chris George here, who's a college soccer head coach to college ADs to high school to youth coaches to weightlifting. I mean, we had the director of U.S. Kids Golf, like we had so many sports covered and everything. But Kate, are you available there?
I am, yes.
Awesome. Well, I want to introduce everyone to Kate, who's been, a great friend of myself's and Jerry's, and just Kate. Maybe first of all, what did that evoke in you when you saw that, and then maybe we can tell people a little bit about what you've been doing with it since.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, truly, my heart is just so happy. It is so full right now. It brought the biggest smile, and I was just thinking, oh, I need to text our WhatsApp group and tell everybody to go watch the slides today so we can all feel and relive that joy together. But truly, John, it couldn't have been a better segue because when I was thinking about sharing with the group today, what I realized is I don't know that I can capture the words to describe the feeling that I felt last or this year, it's still this year, at the retreat conference. I would call it a retreat conference, conference retreat, licensure. I'm not sure what we call it, but it felt amazing. And truly, I think it's the level of appreciation and gratitude that I have for my cohort and for you and Jerry and Matt, certainly. It was an essence of what Jerry calls us, the United Spirits. We truly felt united in that spiritual connection, and that gathering in that space felt so protected while we were there together. And we continue to feel it to this day through our cohort as we remain connected. When I think about what I took away, I really took away a profound sense of connection and caring and courage. I've been with Way of Champions for gosh, probably since Jerry wrote that book, Way of Champions. I read it in grad school back in 2003. And then Jerry emailed me out of the blue to invite me to the Sanitas conference in 2016 or whatever it was. So this has been a way of life and a thought and something that I have valued for so long throughout my professional career. But the conference itself gave me the courage to go out and really live the way of champion and start to lead the way of champion. I think historically I understood it and I learned about it. I've read all of your books, John. Jerry, I've read 11 of your books. I've read so many books, but the conference really catapulted me from reading and learning and following to leading and leading with the way of champion. And so to answer your question, what have I been doing? I continue to bring the way of the champion into my clinical mental health practice here in Denver. And I've also branched out and started doing work with I'm working with some Olympic weightlifting coaches as well as a hockey team here in town, teaching them the way of the champion. And so I've been able to branch out and really have the courage and the guidance and support to be able to start to take the way of champions from just an individual one-on-one conversation in my office into teams and cultures to support leading with love. And that's truly what it's all about. And I would say the bonus is that our cohort was so amazing. And I know that I can call on any one of them any day, any moment, and they'll all be there for me if I need some support or guidance.
Mm. Thank you, Kate.
Ah,
Jerry,
Eric
you're gonna
Bennett.
say something? Yeah.
Eric, can you hear me? There's no
Yeah,
relationship.
yes.
You guys connected at all, Kate and you?
Just a little bit. That's my wife, Kate. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I mean, Kate, thank you so much. I think one of the things when you do something like this, you just don't know what's going to be there. And Kate, as you talk about like the cohort and the connection of the group that still every morning I open up my WhatsApp and there's another conversation going on in there. And I feel like that's only a small percentage of how you've all stayed connected because every time I talk to someone in the cohort, they're like, oh yeah, I talked to so and so and so and so and so and so. to share ideas. Hey, how did you approach this team? How did you find work? How did you bring this to your school? Because everyone there is different, right? Some people are athletic directors and they're just like, I just want to support my coaches in my school. And other people are like Kate, like, hey, I want to go out there and branch out my practice. And Chris, you're helping your own college team and also others in your university. And so, yeah, I think that part of it has been the unknown for us, right? Of what will happen when we leave. And when I was watching the slideshow, I was smiling as well, but I was also it was making me think about the extraordinary people in that room and how Jerry, you and I always say like there's way more knowledge out there than there is up here, and just our ability is maybe to bring amazing people together. And you're all going to carry each other out of there. And so I think that's been the biggest thing. And this is just, we'll be growing this cohort, growing this Way of Champions family. So yeah. Chris Snyder, are you there?
Unlock.
Hey, John,
Yes,
I am here.
there
Yes.
he is. So let me introduce Chris. Chris and I going way back. Chris, for how many Olympic cycles or Olympics did you go to with U.S. Olympic Paralympic Committee as the director of coach development, supporting all the Olympic coaches, and also a big youth initiative at that time, working with Nike and Project Play to make youth sports better. Then into the corporate sports world for a bit, and now in your own sort of consulting. And it seems like everyone I speak to who's doing a big national coaching project, they're like, oh yeah, Chris Snyder's part of it. So we were so thrilled to have you there with your experience, but maybe you can talk a little bit about your journey there as well.
Yeah, I'm happy to, John and Jerry. Good to see you guys both, as well as Chris and Kate and even Danny, who we all spent time together at the retreat itself. And as John mentioned, yeah, I've spent quite a bit of my career both in the coach developer space, but also as a coach myself, and then also in kind of the leadership executive space of sports. So I now get to walk all those levels. But what's interesting, I decided to join up and come out to the first mastermind group because I had spent, got a decade at the Olympic Committee, always putting training in place for others and running training for others or sending others to trainings to help be their better person. And I'll just be honest, when you're out there and you're running teams, you're coaching athletes, you're helping leaders, you're putting everybody before yourself. It kind of hit me. Besides learning and teaching, I don't do that much professional development for myself that challenges myself. And I had a great friend at the Olympic Committee, Tim Pillow, who's a great nerdy strength and conditioning coach, sports physiologist. But he told me at one time that you have to go to some dark places if you want to be the best in the world. And he talked about, as their coach, as an athlete's coach, you have to go to those dark places with them to help them become the best in the world, the best they could be. What I found when I finally said to my wife, hey, I want to spend my own money and I want to go to this thing because I've known John for a long time. I've talked to Jerry, but I want to finally take the step to actually challenge myself, to become a better version of myself, to teach and gain skills, to actually go out and be able to articulate and help others in a very crazy world of sport and a crazy world of leadership where you got to have some backing, you got to have some quotes, you got to have some books to pull from that are teaching modernized concepts to get people to realize at the end of the day, you only win with people or through people. You don't win with people. It's has to be transformational, not transactional. And that's the difference in the world today. So I spent my own money and came out. And what I found, and I called my friend Tim afterwards and I said, hey, I loved, what you told me like literally 10 years ago. Dude, you don't have to go to dark places. You actually can go to beautiful places to become the best version of yourself. And like you saw the pictures of people hugging, sitting around, learning, growing together. The location itself is run by an amazing person, John Kessel, that built this retreat in this location, all meant to get you off the grid, but get you to literally mindfully take a deep dive into who you are and why you're here and to where you want to improve. And what John and Jerry were able to do with the help of the team was to be able to unlock inside of me and others, how, like, literally, how will you need to invest in yourself to take yourself to the next level, to be confident, to be charismatic, to be caring, and to be able to articulate how to deliver modernized ways to get other people excited to kick butt, take names, and be a better version of themselves. And as Jerry talked about all the champions that he's worked with, I've been able to work with champions, but I now work with a lot of high school programs. I work with some national governing bodies and helping their leadership in what I do professionally. And I get to work with non-champions who aren't good. And that's why they're hiring me, because they stink at something. But what's been amazing is taking what I've learned as well as the network that I got connected to and a lot of the concepts that are inside John and Jerry's teachings. And I've pulled them out to get leaders that have said they've done this their whole lives, to get them to rethink how they lead for the modern world, to get coaches to rethink how they connect with the modern generation. Because truly, honestly, everybody, if you can't figure out how to love your athletes and literally make them feel seen, they are not going to kick butt, take names, and go to dark places with you or for you. You've got to build that transformational connection to drive them forward. So by me, it was the best money I ever spent on myself. I came back, my wife told me, "Oh my God, like, not that you're a new human being, but hey, you're like the dude I married that just loved and was joyful and excited every single day." And I said to her, I was like, I actually had a chance for 4 days, someone to challenge me. Jerry made me ungodly uncomfortable because I had taught all these great things and had all these amazing people, and I've hired so many people to do awesome stuff. And Jerry was literally in my face like, dude, if you can't be confident in who you are, no one else is going to see how awesome you could be. So they taught me, Kate, and others how to literally be vulnerable, but I had to become vulnerable to learn and to learn concepts and to let down ego to be able to invest in others. From that, they gave me everything I needed to say, yo, Chris, if you're going to take this out and do this on your own, or you're going to take this and apply this in your leadership concepts, here's tools to pull from, and here's a network to work with how you apply it. And again, I've always been used to, yeah, like doing those kind of trainings for others, for someone to literally say to me, Chris, here's different places you can pull ideas, concepts, and let me empower you. And I got your back if you go in and you tell a leader, that's not how we do things to make people better nowadays. That's not how it's going to get your team to the next level. Let me give you some ideas to help you, not me, help you take it to the next level. So, as someone who's been around sports a long time, worked at the highest levels, worked at various levels in sport, coaching myself or coaching coaches, I'll just say, like, it was the best investment I could have made because it was the professional level I needed. It was the level of vulnerability that you need as you get and you want to grow. But also, it was an environment that welcomed me in, and I didn't feel dumb. That's the scariest thing if you would decide to go to these things. If many of us, you go to these events and all of a sudden you've got a, trust fall and you just feel stupid. No, I didn't feel stupid because John and Jerry and the team made an environment where I was there to get better. They let me know not to come if I wasn't going to be bought in to get better at what I was doing. But they also let me know it was up to me. Like I had to be the one to unlock that key to learn and accept those learnings and to think about how I'll apply it forward. So I'll tell you, like that was something didn't know I would get, and I left literally with my wife saying, like, that was the best thing. Can you do that every year, just so we always get that guy for a long period of time? And so it's been a great thing for me personally, but also to have the network of people I've left with that can help you drive forward with where you want to apply these things is a big positive. And Jerry and John, I mean, can't thank you enough for taking that step to move this type of a training that you've done traditionally in a conference format into a training. Because yeah, there's an expectation if Kate, Danny, or anyone else that's on here, Chris, call, I'm going to pick up the phone and we're going to work through the problems together with what they're working on, and they'll do the same for me. So to have a professional cohort of other awesome people from various levels, yeah, we're all busy. You don't get that. So coming to an event like this, as well as being indoctrinated into kind of a group, which I assume if you all do attend, you'll probably get to talk to nerds like me or Kate or other people, Chris, that are on because we've come through it as well. So you'll have a connection to other people that came before you. I'll stop rambling. John, Jerry, thanks so much for having me on, as well as for all the great stuff that I continue to get from you. And thanks so much,
I
guys.
think the biggest gift you gave me is my ability to be silly and stupid.
Mm. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. Appreciate the kind words and coming on here. And obviously, thank you, Kate, as well. Part of the thing when we decided to do this as well was like the venue, and as you could see in that slideshow and some of the pictures, this Bison Peak Lodge at Puma Hills is pretty special place. So it's up at about 9,000 feet. And if you looked on the web page or even checked out the website for Puma Hills, it's just this collection, everything from like a main lodge to some small cabins to glamping tents, they call them, and they are glamping tents because they have full queen size beds in them with a heated mattress pad and things like that. There's Conestoga wagons, and there's even a couple of geodesic domes that people stay in, so you can look at the beautiful Colorado sky. Um, the other thing is definitely the property is amazing. So the ability to just, we give you a lot of time to connect with your cohort, with each other, but also just with yourself. And so you could see one little hike up to a peak by that cross that we went to. There's all these little other areas and mazes and places. Luther Rauch, one of our attendees, is threatening to come back so he can lead people on cold plunges in the river across the street. So it's just a beautiful spiritual place to really disconnect from the world and connect with yourself and connect with people. And I think Chris, as you said, it's hard in this space. There's not a lot of people who do this work, and so to find a whole network of people that you can ask questions and bounce ideas off of, and how are you doing this? How are you reaching these people? Here's an issue that I came up against is I think really it's very unique. It's very unique that you have this group of people. So, Jerry, anything to add to the location?
Well, Colorado in the summer, there's not a better place to be. I've lived in Colorado for several years in my earlier years, and it's just, but then again, the weather it could snow, but we're prepared for that. It could rain, it could be anything, but boy, it's a beautiful place. No matter what they give us in Colorado, we'll blend it in with the work that we're doing. It'll be meaningful in the downpour, in the snowstorm.
Mhm.
We'll enjoy it. I want to thank Chris for all of your amazing in-depth comments, and Kate, goes without saying, or maybe it doesn't go without saying. You never cease to amaze me, and I know others, with your special, deep understanding of your journey and where you're going. And from both of you, I learn a lot, and you'll probably see it pop up in my next book. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jer. So basically that's the venue. What this program entails, it's really it's a year-long program, and we kicked off the first cohort in October of 24. Um, and we start doing some background work. You're going to be doing some journaling. We send out reflection questions. You're going to do that work. We had 2 Zoom calls with the cohort before we all met each other, and a chance to introduce yourselves. So you're not showing up blind either. You're showing up going, "Oh yeah, I've been talking to you," or whatever. The event itself is 4 days, 3 nights. We provide the lodging, amazing food. So we have a chef there preparing, your meals, 3 meals a day on the full days, um, and then afterwards we've done not only this WhatsApp group where a lot of people have stayed connected, but we've done 5 Zoom calls as well. So whereas a lot of sort of certification programs are one-offs, this one is it's really a year of time together and reflecting with a slow runway, a lot on your own, intense gathering, and then the continuation of that. And I mean, the participation in the Zooms has been amazing because people want to keep connected. Yeah, Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, so to coattail on that, John, as you speak, John and I intended this to not be a conference. We've done conferences, John and I, and there are some people here that could talk about those conferences, and those conferences were really, really good. And believe me, the feedback was amazing. But I wanted to do something more deeper, and John agreed. And so we put together this program. And honestly, it's a journey. It's not a conference. It starts off early in the year. It will start off somewhere around November, and we go through the time we meet in June, and then it continues for another 5 or 6 sessions. I don't know how many we'll have, but there'll be follow-up, believe me, once a month. It's a journey, but I'm going to say this too. It's life-changing. If you're not interested in changing your life, if you're happy with where you are, this is not for you. Don't even think about it. It's not a typical conference where you're going to go and get information. We're drowning in a sea of information. You can get all the information you want on the internet. What you're not going to get from other conferences is a deep connection, not just to others, but to yourself. One of the things we demand, and we love you, and we'll demand from you, and we love you for a lot of good reasons you don't even know yet, and we'll demand from you that you go through this journey together. And you won't want it any other way. And at times it'll feel a little intimidating with the questions. We have series of questions every month that you will be required to answer, and not like sit down like a test and finish these answers, finish the questions. It's self-evolvement. And John and I have had these conversations for years. If you don't self-evolve, if you're not self-aware, don't call yourself a coach. Don't call yourself a doctor. Don't call yourself a leader. We intentionally put this program together so we can all, myself included, take a deep dive into who we are. Every January, I ask myself one question: who am I? And I try to figure that out, because every year I've grown. And if I'm not growing, I'm not a lifelong learner. If I'm not a lifelong learner, how can I be a good teacher? And how can I connect with others? And so you're not going to find this any other place. And that's not a sales pitch. I'm just saying, if it's not for you, I'll understand it. But you have to think about where you are in your life and how deeply you want to take on life and how much you want to discover about yourself to become a better version of yourself and be the teacher you were put on this earth to be. We're all teachers, and it's life-changing, and it's a commitment, and it's a journey. And it's like the hero's journey, like Joseph Campbell said, ups and downs. You'll leave this conference, or you'll leave this, Kate, you were struggling with what to call it. It's a certification licensing program. You actually get licensed. We've taken it through the legal team that we had, and we will license you. And so you take this, and when you go out on your own, you're going to feel the same in terms of making mistakes and having setbacks and all of that stuff. And that's just life. That's not this program. This program is to help you look at that as growth opportunities. Since I've been together with this group in June, I've had many setbacks. I've had many failures. And you know what? This is the kind of stuff that I need to get me through those failures and those setbacks and learn from them. And they're my greatest teachers. So I embrace all of that. And but we have to ask the deeper questions, right? Who am I? Where am I going? Who am I going to take with me? And while it can be fun at times, it's really challenging. And it's, as Chris Snyder, as you intimated, it's not easy sometimes to really self-examine. But that's what we'll do. Mm-hmm. John?
Yeah, awesome. So we can do some questions now. Just so as you know, the way we do the registration process, rooming requests are first come, first serve. So Basically in the order that people signs up. Well, once you register, there's a little Google form. You'll get an email right away, Google form to fill out that has sort of lodging requests. Do I want to try to stay in a cabin? Do I want a glamping tent? Do I want a geodesic dome? There's also the ability to request. We do singles for a little extra fee if you want to live by yourself. That's totally fine. But basically, yeah, so in the order that those come in, we give first preference to someone who wants to be in a cabin or wants to stay in the main lodge or something like that. Yeah, Chris, the dome is amazing. Yeah, exactly. Nothing like a Colorado sky. So anyway, so that's kind of all the information. I put the link in the chat to both just the straight up checkout, but also the just the information page on the website that's got some pictures and other sort of things. I think last couple of details, those flying in, there are Denver Airport is about 2 hours from this property. Colorado Springs, about hour and 20, hour and a half. What we do once we start getting the cohort together is, help people set up carpool so not everyone's renting a car or things like that. And last year we had lots of people picking each other up and driving up there and everything like that. So we don't provide the transportation, but we do help facilitate it, getting you to and from there. The venue also has the ability to usually, if we book it ahead enough, to arrive a day early or stay an extra night afterwards, so you're not rushed out after there. And there's some world-class fly fishing right there, and like I said, river hiking. You're still in beautiful Rocky Mountains. So anyway, so all that. So price for next year is 3,498, which was basically made my math easier. We collect it in 3 payments, so 1,666. 3 payments. You pay one when you sign up, one in December, one in January. And that's it. We do our best to do if something comes up. And I think in last year's cohort, we started a waiting list, and we had a couple people, had family things, had some go on and had to drop out. And when we were able to fill their spot, we fill it for you and, charge you $50 or something admin fee and give you your money back. So we do try to work with everyone if something happens to come up right before it. So anyway, registration is open. I'm going to be emailing out. Jerry's going to be emailing this out to quite a few people here, but because you put your name on the list, you all get first crack at it. So tomorrow will be those on. Tonight I'll send something to this list, and we had about 100 and something people who said, I want to be the first to know. And then tomorrow we'll send it out to 30,000 people. So anyway, that's up and running. But does anyone have any questions? You can type them in the chat. And if you don't want to ask them publicly, if you have any questions for Chris or Kate or anyone else, that would be great. And if there's no questions, there. Oh yeah, the dome is amazing. Perfect. Chris, George, anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I to to what you were saying before, I was feeling all the big feels when we were looking at all those pictures in ways that I hadn't kind of felt that since then, and that was really cool. And just to see Kate and Chris and Danny, I've seen in video, but I've seen Danny in person recently, like last week we got together, which was really cool. I think the biggest thing, in the way that only we can do this, like, hey, I'm going to be in your area watching this bad high school soccer game. Want to stop over for a minute? So of course we did, right? And what I would say to everybody who's thinking about doing this, for when I came into it, I'd been feeling like I was kind of doing the work or adjacent to the work or whatever for a long time, but I kind of felt like I was on an island. Like my connection to the work was listening to John and Jerry on the podcast, right? And then now there's this incredible group of people who are all also doing the work. I mean, truly exceptional people. And like they were saying, like that connection didn't, start 2 days in and end. And after that, it's a continuing ongoing connection and like work where it's I'll think of something and I'll say, hey, I'm about to do this thing. I'm about to start working with Vermont Soccer Association and doing some way champion stuff with their coaches, right? And I mentioned that that was a thing, and I'm way over my head, right? Of course, it's a thing I'm going to go do. And then there's five people that are like, hey, I can help you with that. I did this similar thing. So I don't feel like I'm doing the work in a disconnected to other people doing the work way. I feel incredibly connected to the people doing the work, which was that's the biggest thing for me. And outside just the individual personal connections.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that, man. Anyone else have any questions? And again, you've got, yeah, Jerry, I see you 1 second. I was also going to say, just so I don't forget, if you got this link, that's obviously my direct email. So that's a great way to, especially if you're something like, hey, I really want to do this, but I need a different payment plan or something like that. Just email. We try to make it work for everyone because we really want people who are like the people you've heard from here who are just here to add and to give and to throw in on this. So, Jerry, were you gonna
Yeah,
say
well, I just
something?
want to say the voices that matter most are not yours and mine, John. And
Yeah.
with that, I just want to, I have something to say, yes, but just rather hear from you if you have comments, observations, concerns, and of course, questions. Now would be a good time to do it and see if John and I can help you with that.
Great. We
So the point I was going to make is there's someone here, Sean. Raise your hand, Sean Stetford. I forgot all about the connection we've had with Way of Champions. I think you're the first high school team that I worked with that won a state championship, or the only one at the time. You were the first and only. And do you have any comments about your experience with Way of Champions from a high school perspective, not so much what we're doing with the colleges and stuff? I put you on the spot. You know, this was not, you were not expecting this for sure, but that's what I do anyway, right?
Yeah, well, you talked about, well, the other guy talked about how you make people uncomfortable. You just did that to me.
Yeah, good. That's good. I think we had to become comfortable with being uncomfortable if we're going to be good coaches.
Yeah, high school, I don't know. Like I think there's a lot of people that secretly do the work of the way of the champion, but don't know they're actually doing it in the high school space, if that makes any sense. Like there's coaches I talk to that, yeah, we do that. I'm like, well, yeah, it makes total sense. So it's helped me tremendously. I know your books and John's books are resources for me. I just started a new program this last fall, and as tough as it was to get my butt kicked again, there's things I can go back to that I forgot about that I implemented into the CA girls program that are like, oh, I remember this works, and let me try this again. So in high school, like there's a lot of times where you can use this stuff almost on a yearly basis because similar to college, you get a new team every year. And so you can build on the lessons that you've used with girls and boys in your teams that have been there and done it. And then they can share their experiences with the kids who are now maybe seniors or juniors and seniors in your program. So, yeah.
Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, if there's no questions, like I said, you can email me, hit reply on that email. If you need some other stuff, if you if you said, "Oh, I'd love to talk further with someone who's been a part of it," email me that, and then I can ask Chris or Kate or Chris if they're willing to sit there and chat with you as well. But yeah, we really hope, it's exciting to have people here and some great people who couldn't make this thing, but are like, oh, I'm coming. So just send me the link as soon as it's open. Who have coached at all different levels, and we're really, really excited about it. So this is great stuff, and we're so excited to add to the cohort. We're so excited to meet some new people and to help you wherever you want to take this, whether it's just back to your team, to your school, community, wherever it is, help give you the tools and the information, but also the support group to really make a difference in the sporting realm. So thank you
John,
all for being on. Jerry, final word. You get the final word, Jerry.
No, I'm not going to take it because I know you have something better to say. But seriously, we had a couple of people at the meeting last June who were making transition. They were leaving their work. One was an AD, and the other, I forget what he was doing. But they're transitioning, and what they wanted is they wanted something that they could lean on and look at as a possible way of continuing their connection with athletics or whatever they wanted to use it for. It was up to them. But I just wanted to know that's another kind of demographic that we bring to this environment in this venue, which is a transitional type of situation to learn what we can do to carry our work further in a world. And the oldest person that was there, other than me, I was the oldest, I think, but the oldest person we had there, I think, was 73. And the youngest was 20.
19, 20,
19, yeah. And you might say, well, what is a 19-year-old? Well, he has a mother who is involved in athletics, so he's heard about athletics all his life. And he said to me, I want to be a coach, and I want to put my feet on the ground running as soon as I get to that place where I could lead some people. That's what he said. So it takes kind of it's rather sophisticated. The material that we talk about is sophisticated, and it takes a special person, like if you're going to be 19, to really grok what we're doing and how we're being. And he fit in so well with all of us, and he still does. So anyway, that's it. John, last word.
That's it. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Like I said, reach out if you have any questions. And, I mean, we should probably just, your influence is never neutral, right? Like we sign off every podcast. So hopefully go share this with other coaches in your community or people you think would be interested in this program. That link's there as well. And if you have any questions, reach out. And thank you so much. And really on behalf of Jerry and Matt Booth, who couldn't be here, and our former cohort, we hope to see you in June. All right.
John, let's you and I stay on if we can.
Sure.